In today's quick market update, we'll be going over what exactly is happening with Bitcoin and how altcoins are currently reacting to the overall market. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and let's jump right into the video. First of all, an update on the head and shoulders pattern. We can see that it is very clear that it is playing out, and if you've been following the channel for the past few days, actually few weeks into the holidays, we've been talking about this potential pattern. It is still very much a valid pattern until proven otherwise. As I tweeted earlier today, we are now flirting with the right shoulder of this head and shoulders pattern. If we get rejected here, Bitcoin could easily drop to the low to mid 80K range. And in my eyes, this would be an amazing buying opportunity for not just Bitcoin, but select altcoins. That being said, the market doesn't always give us what we expect. And if we get a strong daily close above $100,000, this would be invalidated with the next target going to $104,000. And after that, we would be targeting all-time highs. So taking a look at the Bitcoin chart a little bit deeper, we can see that we now wicked above similarly to how we did on this left shoulder. Right now, we are struggling a little bit below the 100K level. And for me to invalidate this pattern, as I mentioned, we need to see a daily close above 100K, preferably a strong daily close, not just fiddling with the 100K mark, but rather around $101 or even $102,000 for Bitcoin. Personally, I would be happy with any scenario here because if Bitcoin breaks above $100,000 and has a strong daily close there, I will be entering along to target the $104,000 mark. But if Bitcoin breaks down, I have absolutely no issues with this because it will be an amazing opportunity to accumulate some more altcoins. So once again, the two most valid trades that I am seeing on the chart would be waiting for the daily close above $100,000, triggering a long to $104,000, or if we still have rejection around the 100K level and we fail to close above it on the daily for a few more days now, I would be targeting once again another short to the range lows. If you're looking to make any of the trades that I talk about on this channel, you can do so by signing up with the first link in my description that will bring you to the exchange called Weeks, which is one of the best exchanges in the industry, and they even offer you a $20,000 bonus, and yes, those bonuses are withdrawable. Now, there are so many ways that you can actually make money in the crypto market, and trading is just one of them. The other one is holding your spot bags and selling at much higher valuations. Sounds simple, right? Well, not necessarily, because it's all about timing the market. I know that a lot of you are holding significant altcoin bags, and everyone is waiting for that glorious altcoin season. And the Bitcoin dominance metrics should give us a little bit of an indication as to when we can expect that altcoin season. We could see here that over the course of the past 2 days, Bitcoin dominance is actually going upwards since getting rejected at the bottom of this wedge. I still think that it's very likely that Bitcoin dominance will continue to chop around these levels, making it a little bit more complex for us to call altcoin season. But this shouldn't concern you because I'm very confident that we will have an explosive altcoin season sometime in 2025. I will make sure to keep you updated when that is. But if you've been following the channel for a while, I've said it so many times, we need the Fed to be printing money for us to have the true altcoin season and for retail to start speculating into altcoins. Now, later in this video, I will be showing you a very interesting chart that suggests that retail still isn't really here. Yes, we had some explosive moves for Bitcoin and altcoins before the holiday season, but it's starting to look a little bit like retail is fading away and institutions are the ones pushing the price of Bitcoin much higher at this current period in the market. Speaking of institutions, we can see that the US Treasury Department actually released a report calling Bitcoin digital gold. Yes, those words came directly from the US Treasury Department. As we can see here, primary use case for Bitcoin seems to be a store of value, aka digital gold in a decentralized finance world. Speculative interest seems to have played a prominent role in the growth of digital tokens thus far. And back to Bitcoin, we can see that on the liquidation heat maps, there are a ton of short liquidations above the 100K level, which I wouldn't be surprised if we have a little bit of a fake out and tap into those levels if we are to move lower on this head and shoulders pattern. And there are a bunch of longs starting to pile in, which will likely also get liquidated before our next move. Now, something that's extremely interesting with Bitcoin is that it tends to move in the opposite direction that retail thinks it will move in. We can see on this chart here that crypto prices nearly always move the opposite direction of the retail crowd's expectations, as seen on Twitter. When our timeline is filled with euphoria, there are tons of suggestions telling you that you should be buying crypto. But this is usually a strong sign to be taking profits. However, when your timeline is extremely fearful, that is usually a sign to start buying and buying aggressively. As we can see on the chart here, these yellow lines represent retail selling, and we can see that the price of Bitcoin actually went up after retail started selling a lot of Bitcoin. Then, once retail starts talking heavily about buying Bitcoin, we actually see a correction in the market. It's funny to see how these things actually play out. And this is another quick one that I thought would be interesting to talk about in this video, but just briefly, on Polymarket, you can actually make a bet on whether or not Trump will create a Bitcoin reserve in his first 100 days in office. Currently, there's a 29% chance, and we can see that the odds started spiking up since the beginning of the year. And as I'm filming this video, we can now see that Bitcoin is back above $100,000, right below $101,000. Now, this would be the daily close that I'm looking for. And back to the chart, this is what we're looking like. So 100K did pose quite a bit of resistance, and let's see if we close here on the daily to confirm a nice long setup. Now, in regards to other cryptocurrencies, you know I'm always saying that if an altcoin is performing well against Bitcoin when Bitcoin drops, that is usually a very good sign for an altcoin to start performing well when Bitcoin starts ranging and as it starts to move higher. And one of those altcoins that I've been talking about on the channel for quite a while now, and I've been accumulating heavily, as I spoke about actually in yesterday's video, is Pudgy Penguins. This is actually up 50% on the week. Guys, these are massive numbers for a cryptocurrency that is just below a $3 billion market cap. It's quite easy to move a coin that has a $50 million market cap, but something that has almost $3 billion is quite significant, which leads me to believe that something big is coming for Pudgy Penguins' native token, Pengu. And in this same time frame, just as a reference, Bitcoin is now up 10%. So these are the altcoins that you want to be eyeing out, because if you're investing in an altcoin and it's not at least outperforming Bitcoin, then there's absolutely no point to be invested into that cryptocurrency, because you're basically just taking more risk for lower return, which just doesn't make sense at all. If you're going to invest in an altcoin, you want to make sure that it at least outperforms Bitcoin, and then the next thing that you should evaluate that altcoin against is Ethereum. If it outperforms Bitcoin and if it outperforms Ethereum, that is a very green flag for your altcoin. Further analysis on altcoin would suggest that a fractal could be playing out similar to 2021. Now we can see here that Miles pointed this out on his Twitter account. Basically, we had a little bit of a bottom on others, then we had two little tops, a double bottom before exploding to the upside, and the same scenario appears to be playing out for others against Bitcoin. Now the last time that this broke to the upside, alts ran over 200%, so keep that in mind. But man, is this beautiful. Now I'm back on the Bitcoin chart. We are above $101,000, seeing a massive pump in Bitcoin. I really hope that this isn't a fake out and the head and shoulders pattern isn't playing out. So as long as we have those daily closes above the 100K mark, I would be extremely bullish on Bitcoin at these levels. Now, the last thing that you need to consider in regards to altcoins, specifically in regards to accumulation, is that retail still isn't really here. Now, before going over this, what I'm showing you here is the social risk, which essentially evaluates how risky the market is based on social metrics, which includes Twitter followers for influencers, followers to exchanges, followers to layer ones, etc., etc. The overall engagement across social media in regards to crypto. Now, usually when this metric is really high, that can signal the peak of the actual bull market. But what we can see here is that in this cycle, the social risk didn't even make it to the 0.5 range, which is very uncommon. As we can see in the 2017-18 bull market, we made it all the way up to just below 0.9. Then in the 2021 bull market, we made it all the way up to 1, which suggested that the price would correct heavily afterwards. In this bull market, we hardly made it above 0.4, and actually this most recent altcoin rally that happened before the vacation period brought us right back up to those levels, almost making a double top in social risk. And then we saw it crashing right back down into the holiday season until now. Now, some altcoins are obviously picking up steam, but this just indicates to me that retail still isn't here, because when retail is here, all the exchanges, all the influencers in the space, all the layer ones are gaining a ton of followers across social media. And this also indicates that there is a ton more speculation on altcoins. Usually for a sustained altcoin season, the social risk is much higher than we're currently at. So if you've already experienced gains in altcoins during this bull market, I just want to say congratulations to you, because retail still isn't really here. And if you haven't experienced those crazy gains quite yet, and this is perhaps your first bull market, just know that this happens when retail comes back and the social risk starts ticking upwards. So to me, this is telling me that it's technically still not a bad time to be accumulating altcoins. And that sums up today's quick video. Bitcoin is now trying to break through that head and shoulders pattern and completely invalidate it. As we saw while I was recording this video, we made it all the way up to $101,000. All we need is a couple strong daily closes for us to move much higher, in my opinion. However, if this ends up being a fake out and Bitcoin does fall back below the 100K level, I would be expecting the rest of this right shoulder to be playing out. In the meantime, there are select altcoins that are outperforming the rest of the market, such as Pengu, which we've been talking about on this channel for quite a while. It's currently sitting at a $3 billion market cap, and as you've been seeing me talk about it very regularly on this channel, I do think that $20 billion is possible for Pengu during this bull market cycle. But in the meantime, we can see that the social risk has been diminishing, and therefore retail still isn't here, which, as I mentioned, suggests that you can still be accumulating altcoins at these levels. Can Bitcoin dip? Can altcoins dip further? Yes, of course. But in my opinion, we are still not close to the Bitcoin bull market peak, meaning that altcoins can run much higher for at least the next 10 months. I think that we will likely top somewhere around the end of Q3 into early Q4 2025. But there's always a difference between what we want and what actually happens. So I will be regularly analyzing all of the top indicators, and I will keep you up to date when I start selling most of my cryptos near the top of this bull market before the bear market occurs. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.